with the release of 2021.3, we're using that to revisit an old challenge because we have a new super step, which is called new rows. You may see it there in the solution workflow already. So let's go ahead and see how that works. So what we're working with, you may remember this challenge if you've been around for a while, is we have 4 names and we have their contract start date, how long that contract was for, and the monthly cost of that contract. And the stage that we want to get to is 1 row for each month of that contract. And we want to have a running total of their payments. So in order to do that, we need to first of all calculate the end date of each contract. So how do we do that? We use a calculated field and we're using the date add function. Now I always have to use the helpful window on the right, to remind me the order that date add goes in. So the increment for us is months. The interval is the contract length in months minus 1 because we already have our starting month there. And then our start date is what we're adding that onto. And so we can see, for example, for the 6-month contract that it begins in February, ends in July, and that's all great. Now comes the new rows step. So I'm going to add on a new rows step here and walk you through it. So we have a couple of options to start off. Are we taking the values from 1 field or are we taking the value from 2 fields? Well, in our case, we want to take from 2 fields and we're going to use our start date and our end date. And you can see that we've got 1,520 new rows. And you can see they're kind of in the bold text here in this new field. So we have to have a new field when we're using 2 fields. So let's name that our payment date for each of our customers. And rather than it being 1 day, which is what you can see is happening at the moment, we want to change that to be 1 month. And okay, this is actually starting to look more like it. I did think 1,000 sounded a bit too many new rows. And now we have 50 new rows instead. And you can see that it's going from that start date to that end date, and it's filling in between there. But look at what happens over here. At the moment, we have our names and we've got a lot of nulls. And that's because what value should your new rows have? And at the moment, it's selected to be null or 0. So 0 for our numeric fields, null for our string fields. So we need to change this to be copy from previous row. And then we can see that it all works out with our particular names. And for example, if we look at a 6-month contract again, we can see that we have 6 rows for Jonathan because he's on a 6-month contract and 5 of those rows are new. So that's all worked how we'd hope it would. Okay, great. Let's continue on with the challenge. Now we need to work out the cumulative cost each month. And this was a surprise to me, which I'm not sure it's officially a feature within Prep, but it works, so we'll go with it. So if you're familiar with analytic calculations, then you'll know that the syntax for that is partitioning and ordering by. So let's just talk through that. So we're partitioning on the name, which is basically like grouping by the name or for each name. And we're ordering by the payment date in an ascending order. And we're using a window sum. Oh, did you know that was in Tableau Prep? I didn't know that was in Tableau Prep. All thanks to Tom that I knew that. So we're doing a window sum on the monthly cost to get that cumulative cost. So that's so much simpler than before. To do a running total, we would have had to join back onto ourselves. But now we have the ability to use window sum within Tableau Prep as well. Very exciting. And that's all that we need to do other than removing a few unnecessary fields. We're to our output. My screen seems to have broken a little bit over here, but we don't worry too much about that. And thanks very much for watching, everyone. I hope that was an exciting video for you because I found parts of this challenge so satisfying, and I'm glad the direction Prep is going in.